In 1971, our War of Independence took place, and by the War of Independence, we mean a civil war between East Pakistan and West Pakistan. The left and the Awami League rebelled against West Pakistan, ending with an Indian military operation and the surrender of Pakistan's eastern command to them. The main narrative that the Awami League is creating behind this rebellion is that the Pakistani government is economically discriminating against and exploiting East Bengal. The main point of this statement is that they want to say that East Pakistan is the majority province of Pakistan. 56% of the country's population lives here. Yet the majority of the Pakistani government's revenue is spent in West Pakistan. Most of that money comes from East Pakistan. With this money earned by East Pakistan, the ruling class of West Pakistan extensively developed their own areas. West Pakistan spent 75 to 80% on revenue development, projects, imports, foreign aid, etc. And East Pakistan's share was only 20 to 25%. In addition, people in East Pakistan had to buy daily necessities and goods at higher prices than in West Pakistan, which was a cunning plan of the then ruling class, through which they sucked the blood of the poor and suffering people of this country. There was a wide disparity in per capita income between the two provinces, which is their policy of exploitation. By covering up these lies, the Awami League printed a famous poster for the 1970 elections and distributed it widely across the country. The title of the poster was, "Why the Sonar Bangla Crematorium?" What was on that poster? The poster shows that discrimination. Bangladesh spends 1,500 crore taka in the revenue sector. 5,000 crore taka was spent in West Pakistan. Bangladesh spends 3,000 crore taka on development. 6,000 crore taka in West Pakistan. Bangladesh receives 20% of foreign aid. West Pakistan gets 80%. Bangladesh imports 25% of foreign goods. West Pakistan 75%. Central government jobs account for 15% in Bangladesh and 85% in West Pakistan. Military employment accounts for 10% of Bangladesh's employment and 90% of West Pakistan's. The price of what you want is per mind. In Bangladesh it costs 50 taka and in West Pakistan 25 taka. In West Pakistan it costs 15 taka. In Bangladesh it costs 30 taka. In West Pakistan it costs 15 taka. In Bangladesh it costs 2.5 taka. In West Pakistan it costs 170 taka. In West Pakistan, it costs 135 taka. It is a huge disparity. So come, let's open it up and see. We will understand it. The poster for the 1970 elections was designed by Mr. Nurul Islam and the artist Hashim Khan. This poster received a huge response across the country and is the main basis for the justification of the Awami League's autonomous rule narrative. The economic exploitation of Pakistanis is at the root of all the arguments the Awami League is presenting to justify its rebellion against Pakistan. They still say that this poster was also included in the primary school textbooks and almost everyone has had such a deep-rooted idea since childhood that Pakistan has been economically deceiving Bengalis for 23 years to support Mujib's 6-point movement. Those 6 points were the Charter of Liberation of the Bengali nation. 3 of the 6 points included the point of economically separating East Bengal from Pakistan. The Awami League won an absolute majority in the 1970 elections and its consequences are known to everyone. Even if you look at the newspapers of East Bengal in the late 1960s, this narrative of economic exploitation and discrimination can be seen as the main theme. If any Bangladeshi were asked today what the main rationale for rebelling against Pakistan was, he answers the economic exploitation of Pakistanis. This means that the narrative created by the Awami League is becoming a reality in this country. Now that the Awami League is so adept at creating false economic narratives, there is no need to point fingers at the generation. For the past 15 years, right before our very eyes, the Awami League has been horribly manipulating statistics to create a narrative of great development, where the reality is that all the banks and financial sectors of the country have been looted and destroyed. A few days ago, the trade advisor said that all false statistics were given, including GDP. It's not like it's being said now that newspapers used to write false statistics even during Hasina's tenure. Zia Hassan was writing a book called Development Illusion, how false statistics were used to create development narratives. So it is easy to guess what kind of manipulation the Awami League is doing regarding the events of 50 years ago. We won't guess. We will look at the information. Today we will examine this statement of the Awami League in light of the reality of the time and see what kind of manipulation this accursed party was doing there too. We are collecting all relevant documents from the archives of the then Pakistan, and it goes without saying that the Awami League and their pet economist Nurul Islam Raymond Sobhan are committing a terrible fraud to create this poster and manifesto. Before discussing this in detail, it is necessary to shed some light on their real character and their motives. I am talking about a book by Major Dalim that I have seen, understood, and done. He is saying that in various circles there is a storm of discussion about the future of Bangladesh's politics, economy, administration, and culture. One day, at a social event, an economic advisor to the government said that independent Bangladesh did not have much economic viability. That means it won't be economically successful. His statement surprised many. The question was asked, if independent Bangladesh had no economic viability, why did you provoke the people by formulating the 6-point plan? Why did you say that Golden Bengal would be established only if East Pakistan could be liberated from Pakistani exploitation? So was all your propaganda false? It is just a ploy to divide Pakistan by deceiving the people. The expert could not answer all these basic questions that day. In a very embarrassing situation, he saved himself from embarrassment by cutting himself. Similarly, another day, in a domestic setting, some Bengalis asked Mr. Dipadhar what kind of industrial policy should be for the future independent Bangladesh's economy. When asked, he answered in English, but in Bengali. It is understood that you don't need to talk about these things. You just plant crops and grow rice. We'll see about the rest. Such statements clearly indicate that the conspiracy to turn Bangladesh into an economic market and hinterland of India was part of the Indian hegemonic blueprint. Is that all? The desire to ensure complete Indian control over Bangladesh's economy was also clearly captured in Mr. Thar's speech.
A gentleman shook my hand with great interest and enthusiasm on the plane on his way back to Dhaka from Karachi after the failed roundtable meeting demanding a 6-point agreement. I didn't recognize him. The gentleman sitting next to me requested that I sit in his seat, and he came and sat next to me. I was curious and asked to know his identity. I thought we would be close ideologically. So you want to have a close conversation with me? I soon realized that he was from the complete opposite camp. He is one of those who are feeling the glory of the winner after the failure of the roundtable meeting. Having received a representative from the defeated opponent, he wanted to advise them to abandon the wrong path as part of the victory celebration. Upon introduction, I learned that he was a high-ranking CSP official working in Islamabad, going home for vacation. My name is Dr. Abdus Sattar. He knew I knew him very well. Those who engage in politics rarely practice education. He mentioned that he respects me because I am an exception. He also said that he was very happy to have the opportunity to talk to me. He began his speech by saying a few polite words. You did not consider the 6 points properly. Perhaps they failed to properly evaluate it, considering it to be Sheikh Mujib's provocative political proposal. It was presented through Sheikh Mujib, but its authors are 18 PhDs. Among them are professors from various universities and high-ranking government and private sector figures. This is a very well thought out and well-planned formula that will quickly change the fate of 80 million Bengalis. I asked, you must be one of those 18 PhDs. He claimed to Josh that he was also one of these organizers. I wanted to know, are all of these 18 people Bengalis? He said more enthusiastically that they all believed in Bengali nationality. I asked if you must have formulated these 6 points based on a far-reaching plan. Does the plan include the idea of forming East and West Pakistan as one state? He replied very openly. You work in the public arena. We are working with those who are running the country. Punjabis want to keep us under control. We cannot progress without separating ourselves from them. India is between our two regions. It is unusual to be part of a state in this situation. I said we are the majority. The country is moving towards democracy. We will dominate the center. Why would we think about being separated? They will see if they want to be separated. In response, he said something that surprised me. He said that, as a Bengali nation, we need to think about the fact that we have become weak as a nation due to the division of the Bengali nation in 1947. If the Bengali nation is united, we will be able to enjoy great prestige in the entire subcontinent. I wanted to know if the Bengalis of West Bengal would agree to secede from India and join us in a separate state. He said confidently, of course they will be ready. Will they want to make Kolkata the capital? If Bengal had not been divided, the capital of our East Pakistan would have been in Kolkata. Even during the British period, Kolkata was the capital of British India for many years. It is noteworthy that the person is not satisfied with just 6 points. He is eager to directly join Bengal and is therefore ready to move the capital of East Bengal from Dhaka to Kolkata. Khudiram is a devoted disciple of Surya Senior. Faced with Congress's demand that those with minimal education should know about the history of the 1947 partition, Lord Mountbatten decided to partition the Muslim majority provinces of Punjab and Bengal, all of which was supposed to come to Pakistan. Quaid Azam Jinnah reluctantly accepted the decision of partition, which was the hallmark of his statesmanship. Jinnah regretted this and called Pakistan a wormhole. Until the Mountbatten plan, the main topic of all the discussions between the Congress, the Muslim League, and the British government was what kind of relationship would exist between the 11 provinces of British India after independence in the new constitution. In the 1946 cabinet mission, a proposal was made in the constitution to give maximum autonomy to the Muslim majority provinces while keeping the whole of India united, to which the Muslim League and Quaid Azam agreed. Since Congress and Nehru were unwilling to accept the proposal, Quaid Azam then demanded complete independence. Until the Mountbatten proposal, negotiations were held to keep the provinces intact and determine which provinces would remain in India and which would go to Pakistan. The Muslim League claims 4 Muslim majority provinces out of 11 provinces: Bengal, Punjab, Sindh, and the Northwest Frontier Province. Mountbatten was influenced by Nehru. Mountbatten's wife had an affair with this Nehru. References can be provided if necessary. Under this influence, he decided to partition Bengal and Punjab instead of giving them the entire provinces. June. Mountbatten's first plan of the British Parliament after the partition decision, which was included in the Indian Independence Act 1947 in July. Of the 5 divisions of Bengal Province, Burdwan Presidency, Rajshahi, Dhaka, Chittagong, 16 districts were given to Pakistan. Burdwan Division was given entirely to India, Dhaka and Chittagong Division, except for the Chittagong Hill Tracts district, which was later included in the Chittagong Hill Tracts. Of the 6 districts of the Presidency Division, 3 were given to Pakistan: Jessore, Murshidabad, Nadia, and 3 to India: Kolkata, 24, Parganas, and Khulna. Rajshahi Division was partitioned in 6 of the 8 districts. Bogra, Dinajpur, Malda, Pabna, Rajshahi, and Rangpur were given to Pakistan, and the remaining 2 districts, Darjeeling and Jalpaiguri, were given to India. In addition, a referendum was held in Sylhet district of Assam in July. The majority of Muslims there voted to join Pakistan. A partition commission headed by Sir Ciri Radcliffe was then formed to work out the final details. Sir Radcliffe changed the plan for the Indian Independence Act. First, he gave Murshidabad, Nadia, and Malda districts to India. He took Khulna from India and gave it to Pakistan. He also gave the Chittagong Hill Tracts district to Pakistan. It did. And stopped there. He then brought the partition unit down from the district to the police station level. In other words, only those police stations with a Muslim majority and Muslim majority districts are included in Pakistan. Units from the province are being brought down to the police station. As a result, Rednap, Sahib's Jalpaiguri and Dinajpur districts were partitioned and the Muslim Pradhan was given to Pakistan. Malda Murshidabad is entirely in India. Despite being a Muslim majority, Nadia was partitioned and given to Kushtia, Chwadanga region to Pakistan. And Jessore was partitioned and given to India up to Bunga. The entire 24 Parganas district is in India. Still, he didn't stop. He cut 6 out of the 35 police stations in Sylhet and gave them to India, including Karimgunj. This Radcliffe Award was announced a day or two after the country gained independence.
Radcliffe is also doing business in Punjab. Mountbatten succumbed to pressure. That's another story. Kashmir is involved in this. You can find the relevant part of the Red Cliff River here. Giving them all in the description. After Mountbatten's partition decision was published in June 1947, Sawardi, the leader of the Muslim League in Bengal province, went to meet Quaid-e-Azam in Delhi. Sawardi and the Bengal Muslim League thought that the entire Bengal province would go to Pakistan. They are naturally upset by the partition decision. Sawardi and Abul Hashim mean Badruddin Omar's father, asks permission from Jinnah. If Jinnah agrees, they will discuss with the leaders of the Bengal Congress and the two parties will jointly make a proposal in which the entire Bengal province will separate from India and Pakistan and form a third country, together with Assam. Jinnah gave his consent. This proposal was supported by Bengali Congress leader Sharad Bose, grandfather of Subhas Bose and grandfather of Sharmila Bose, who was writing this book. Although they were reluctant when the Central Congress leaders, Nehru and Sardar Patel, found out, they gave Sharad Bose a huge beating. Sharad Bose withdrew from the proposal. In addition, after hearing this proposal, the leader of the Bengal Hindu Mahasabha, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, called a large public meeting to oppose this proposal. They are not willing to separate from Hindustan under any circumstances. These showdowns worked, and this is where the proposal for a united Bengal ended. History proves here that Congress and Hindu Mahasabha were responsible for the partition of Bengal in 1947. Naturally, they wanted all of Bengal to be part of India. The Muslim League wanted East Bengal to be part of Pakistan. But after hearing the partition decision, the Muslim League agreed to keep Bengal united. If Bengal and Assam were to become a third country, the Congress and the Mahasabha would prefer a divided Bengal as part of India. The then Chief Minister of Bengal, Sarwardi, finally proposed that at least the capital, Kolkata, should be under joint control of Pakistan and India after 6 months so that the administrative system could be transferred in an organized manner. Sardar Patel's answer is, not even for 6 days. Therefore, the Hindus of West Bengal will separate from Hindustan and form a union with the Muslims of East Bengal. And India will accept this and give up such a large territory without a war. I mean, Duryodhana was saying in the Mahabharata that he would not give up the land of the Pure Land without a war. Even the land that is on the tip of a needle without a war. That is India's policy. So this is a wild fantasy. Awami League leaders should know this history very well, because they were Muslim League workers in 1947. Then, these 6-point leaders are showing people that they will unite with West Bengal. This was a terrible deception by the Awami League. The new generation is already learning about the history of the 7-point agreement of 1971. Finally, let me give a small example of how stupid the economist Nurul Islam, the creator of this poster, was. In 2016, Hashim Khan, the artist of the poster, wrote an article in the Bangladesh Pratidin newspaper. There he describes the history of poster making. A part of that article is that Nurul Islam came back after a while and said, "Were you able to get something up? There will be no electricity today. The Paki government is bringing the darkness of East Pakistan into the Light of Pakistan. Electric lights are shining all night long in cities, ports, alleys, and even villages. In the next election, the Westerners will have to be removed from their seats and replaced by the Awami League. Nurul Islam is claiming that West Pakistan is responsible for load shedding in East Pakistan. They were now turning off the power here and supplying power to their own area. What a strange claim and mentality. The distance between East and West Pakistan is thousands of miles. In the middle there are two electricity grids, India and the sea, which are enemies. It is impossible to transfer power from one grid to another. Even if there is surplus power in one grid, there is no way to transfer it to the other grid. Therefore, the childish claim of turning off the power of East Pakistan and flooding West Pakistan with light is very ridiculous. He was the chief economist of Bangladesh. He was the head of the Planning Commission of Bangladesh after independence. Is this client or Harvard's gauge? Yes. Another main character who played a major role in the six-point austerity is Ruhul Qudus, a CSP bureaucrat, became the first cabinet secretary after Bangladesh's independence. Only two facts about Ruhul Qudus are enough to understand his character and agenda. The first is the description of a corruption case in the 50s. There, the accused Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was sentenced to jail for corruption when he was the provincial minister of East Pakistan. Ruhul Qudus was Mujib's accomplice in that corruption case. His reward was it is given. Since the case was closed, the secretary gave him a reward. Another case is the Agratla conspiracy case, where the accused planned to secede by organizing a rebellion in East Pakistan with the direct help of India. Ruhul Qudus was one of the main accused in that case. The Agratla case was initially described as a false case. In our childhood textbooks, this case was shown as a false case. But in 2011, one of the defendants in the case was Colonel Shaukat Ali, the deputy speaker of the Awami League, proudly wrote a book called Satya Masala Agratla. For many people in the country, the rationale for separating from Pakistan and forming a separate state is the Pakistan Army's operation. Search on March 25th and 26th. So what was the justification for those who were planning all these rebellions with the help of India in the 60s? Pakistan did not carry out any genocide before 1971. If we say economic inequality, we burst that balloon a little. Later, in 1965, Pakistan fought a full-scale war with India. Immediately after that, a certain type of person planned to rebel against Pakistan with the help of weapons and money from India. These kinds of people are creating narratives of so-called exploitation of Pakistan and spreading them among the people. Some observations by Professor Syed Sajjad Hossain are very important here. He has a book called 71 Memories. He is a renowned educationist, literary scholar, and writer. He was the first Bengali Muslim to earn a PhD in English literature. He was the VC of Rashi University. The truth is, those who say all these things and this thing started in the 60s, they invent all these theories with the intention of achieving a political objective. They do not accept the partition of 1947 and do not want this region to remain independent. During the Pakistan period, they constantly propagated that we were under the control of the Punjabis and that we would be truly independent only if we left Pakistan. Now they are saying that the independence achieved in 1971 has no value. Only when we unite with Upper Bengal will we truly be free. In 1971, the idea of joining India was not openly discussed, because if he spoke, the public in this country would not respond. So it was said then that India was our true friend. The Indian soldiers will come and protect us. In India, people of different ethnicities and languages, such as Bengalis, Punjabis, Marathi, Tamils, Sikhs, and Parsis, can live together in one state. No inconsistencies were noticed. But in Pakistan, Punjabis, Pathans, Sindhis, and Bengalis formed a state, doing something that was not only ridiculous but also absurd and illogical. This argument has always remained strange to me. The main religion of India is Hinduism. There is no other bond between the Brahmins and Rajputs of North India, the Marathas of West India, and the Dravidians of South India, other than religious ties. This religion is not like Islam. There are many differences between the religious practices of North India and those of South India. As we understand by a Muslim, a person believes in one God and one messenger. There is no such omnipotent faith among Hindus. Yet, we are told that Quaid-e-Azam, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, annexed the eastern region to Pakistan against our wishes. These are the millions of people who participated in the Pakistan movement. The members of the Legislative Assembly who voted to join Pakistan in 1947 became traitors and antisocial overnight. Even today, the likes of Bangu Sushil, Protam Allo, Moti Delisters Mafas, and their columnists like Ali Imam Majumdar get angry when they hear about the separation of some provinces of India, and they find contradictions in the union of the provinces of Pakistan. Let's come back to economic inequality and the narrative made by the Awami League. In this context, Dr. Sajjad Hossain writes that when the Awami League was campaigning, that East Pakistan was discriminated against in West Pakistan. Why the Sonar Bangla crematorium? If such a poster was printed, then why was there no protest from Pakistan, or the question was not clarified? An official from West Pakistan replied that we were making it, but when we tried to publish it, a Bengali officer said that if we gave it, the people of East Pakistan would become even more poor. That's why they didn't allow it to be done. This is written in this part of his book in the Awami League's bibliography. To catch this, we will first explain how government finance works and what is the relationship between government finance and the country's GDP. A country's GDP is the sum of all goods, materials, and services produced within that country. The more developed a country is, the more goods and services its people produce and consume. The government collects a portion of it as taxes. They spend it according to their own agenda. Another option the government has is to borrow from the domestic and international sectors. The government has to repay the installments of this loan from tax money. The government has a final solution, that is, printing money to pay any internal bills. But this results in inflation of the currency value. We know inflation happens. Inflation is a type of tax through which the government pockets a portion of the country's GDP. This tax does not require the passage of any bill in Parliament or the legislature. There are two types of budgets in the government budget. One budget is for the revenue sector and the other is for the development sector. With tax money, the government maintains the existing infrastructure, pays interest on previous loans, and runs other expenses. This is the revenue sector or operating expenditure. If there is any surplus, it is plus the government borrows from domestic and foreign sectors and undertakes development projects under various ministries. These development projects are called ADP or Annual Development Program. Most of the projects, such as bridges, roads, etc., are included in ADP. However, there are a few projects outside ADP. Although the annual allocation for ADP is given in the budget, that allocation is not always fully spent. There are various reasons behind the slow pace of the project. There are reasons such as lack of administrative capacity, procurement, bureaucratic complications, etc. Look at a real sample of the budget. This is how the budget is written. Now we will discuss the issue of foreign exchange. The countries, companies, earn some foreign currency by doing business and exporting, and we send remittances to those who are abroad. This is how the country earns foreign exchange. The governments of Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India control the flow of this foreign currency. Foreign currency coming into the country passes from banks to the control of the central bank. The central bank provides the people of the country with domestic currency in exchange for foreign currency. Then, if an importer wants to import something, he opens a letter of credit with the permission of the central bank and imports the goods or services with the necessary foreign currency. There are no such exchange controls in countries like America, Singapore, and Hong Kong. These currencies are free-floating, meaning the exchange rate of the foreign currency depends on supply and demand, or fluctuates. Import and export agents do not need the permission of any central bank, or the central bank regulates all these matters. The government of Bangladesh, Pakistan, or India buys the foreign currency required for its various projects from the central bank in exchange for the money raised through domestic taxes or directly takes foreign currency loans from any foreign sector. For any project, if the flow of foreign currency into the country, including exports and remittances, is more than imports, a surplus accumulates. As a central bank, this is called foreign currency reserves. Now we will see what is meant by exploitation. What is economic exploitation? Our common sense tells us that exploitation is the act of forcibly taking more money from someone through taxes and spending that money on oneself, or forcibly taking someone's crops, livestock, etc., or forcing someone to do some work and paying them less. Is that so? Numerous such examples can be found in human society. For example, the Mongols would forcibly take someone's crops, wealth, and livestock. There are examples of Maratha raids. They used to pay their rent. In the Roman Empire, Roman citizens in Italy did not have to pay taxes. All the expenses of the empire were levied on the people of the provinces occupied by the Romans. Many more such examples can be found. The rates of Mug and Portuguese in Arakan are significant. They would take things like that away from us if they came. Now, during the Pakistan period, did the central government of Pakistan forcibly take away all the crops and cattle in East Bengal by imposing rates? Or are they not taking us Bengalis as slaves and making us work as mine laborers in their mines? Then, how did the exploitation happen? The people of East Bengal and West Pakistan, Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan were not all equal citizens of the country. One thing is repeatedly said, that the population of East Pakistan is 56% of the population of Pakistan. The most important information regarding taxes is that the people of East Pakistan contributed how much to Pakistan's revenue. Do you know how much the people of East Pakistan contributed? Only 26%, only 26%. 44% of the people of West Pakistan contributed the remaining 74%. In contrast, East Pakistan received 60% of the total government development allocation in the fourth five-year plan. West Pakistan got 40%. They are the ones who should rebel. In the third plan, East Pakistan got 53%. The allocation in West Pakistan was 47%. In the second plan, the ratio of the two provinces was 50:63 to 64. Once you think about it with a cool head, a province contributes 26% of the country's total revenue and receives 53 to 60% of the development allocation, yet it loudly claims that it is being exploited. Hey brother, there is a limit to extortion, right? And no one has been able to catch this extortion. On the contrary, we are the ones exploiting Punjab and Sindh as one. Despite being less in terms of population, they have contributed most of the revenue tax, and we receive most of the development allocation from that contribution. They have not even said a word about this matter. Hey, you blacksmith, you took too much money and now you're exploiting me. Total of 4 5-year plans were implemented in Pakistan in 20 years from 1955 to 1975. This means that a 5-year budget is made. Analyzing the original copy of that budget and relevant statistics bursts the bubble of the Awami League's narrative of economic inequality. The League's poster is a completely false and fabricated number. An interesting thing to note is that most of the numbers on the poster have been multiplied by 2 to make a match. For example, in the development sector, we have been given 10, 15, 20, 25 seats in a very nice ratio of 30:100 to 60:100. The price of goods has been beautifully set at a number that is exactly double the price of everything we have. Isn't that right? It's like when a child is asked to do math and then guesses a number and gets the answer, but can't. However, the maker of this poster is a tout professor from the Awami League. Foreign aid loans are part of the development budget. Therefore, the development allocation for an area is 50 to 60%, and that province's foreign aid is only 20%. This is only a tout like Nurul Islam. It will cost a professor's brain. The foreign import figures are completely fabricated, because whether a country's goods are being imported to Karachi or Chittagong, they only go through customs once. After that, there is no customs record of which province the goods are going from within the country to which province. So there was no separate account of what percentage of imports each province consumed. It was not possible to stay. The 25 to 75% figure of imports at that time is completely imaginary. There are no statistics within a country on how much foreign currency each province earns, spends, and consumes, as there is no district-based account. To do this, each province and each district will need its own central bank. You will need your own foreign currency account. This point was included in the 6 points precisely for this reason. Even the Awami League itself didn't know about this. They are completely peddling fake numbers to justify the rebellion. I am providing the original copies of the plans and relevant statistics in the description. East Bengal has received less than 50% development allocation in the second and fifth 5-year plans. However, they have always received more than the 25 to 26% revenue allocated to them. In the second plan, 39% allocation against 26% tax. The central government of Pakistan used to collect revenue and give that allocation to the provincial government. The provincial government implemented various projects. The reason for the allocation of less than 50% in the first 2 plans was the lack of capacity of the provincial government of East Pakistan. They could not procure and complete all the projects with the allocated funds. But in Bangladesh, this development budget money is still being returned. The current ADP implementation rate in Bangladesh is very low. And when the first plan was adopted, our Hossein Shahid Sora was the Prime Minister at the center. The provincial government was also led by Awami League Atur Rahman. In addition, from the time Pakistan became independent in 1947 until the arrival of the Marshal in 1958, the people of Bangladesh were in power for most of the time. The people of East Bengal were the Prime Minister, the President, and even the Governor General. 3 Prime Ministers. Khwaja Nazimuddin Muhammad Ali of Bogra was the second longest serving Prime Minister of Pakistan after Liaquat. The Awami League is erasing their names. Hossein Shahid Sora was the Prime Minister for a total of 5 years out of 11 years. For the first 4 years it was Muazzal Liaquat Ali Khan of Uttar Pradesh. After Jinnah's death, Khwaja Nazimuddin of Ahsan Manzil became the Governor General. Pakistan's all-powerful President Iskandar Mirza. He is a Bengali. His ancestors had lived in Murshidabad, Bengal, for hundreds of years. They spoke in Bengali. Their names have been completely erased from the Awami League statements over time, so that they can claim to justify the conspiratorial rebellion. Pakistan will never allow Bengalis to come to power. This is a completely false claim. The Bengalis were in power, so the conspiracy logic of the West Pakistanis does not hold water here. Rather, after martial law and the arrival of Ayub Khan, the allocation for East Bengal went far beyond that, exceeds 50%. Apart from this, the provincial government of East Pakistan has always discouraged private investment and trade. They were creating countless bureaucratic red tape due to their false socialist ideology. The central government had no hand here. This is why there is a huge difference between private investment in East and West Pakistan in the 2 provinces. The provincial government's policy is entirely responsible for this. Were always Bengalis. The statement that West Pakistan was spending its tax money on luxury is completely false, misleading, and purposeful propaganda. The huge deficit of East Pakistan was met by taxes from West Pakistan. Another point that was included in the 6 points. Capital laundering from one province to another must be stopped, because Lahore and Karachi, the capitals of Bengal, are developing. The real facts are completely 180 degrees different. East Bengal was a deficit state. They paid 26% tax and received 55% allocation. The lowest allocation was received by 39%. In reality, Sindh Punjab's capital was spent on the development of East Bengal, but they never once raised an objection to why East Bengal is being supported with their tax money. We are the ones screaming like the big voice of a thief's mother. The government compensation account is not implemented and allocated in the second and third plans of HRT. In the third plan, 16,000 million rupees were allocated to East Pakistan. The West had 14,000 million rupees. Yahya Khan, seeing the outcry from East Pakistan in the fourth plan, doubled the allocation for East Pakistan in one fell swoop to 60% of the total government allocation. This time, let's talk about per capita income statistics. Another complaint could have been the disparity in per capita income between the 2 parts. There may be differences in the average income of people in different districts of a country. The average income of different sections of Bangladesh is different. What is there to exploit in this? On top of that, the provincial government of East Pakistan has restricted the private sector with red tape, so the average income will naturally be lower than that of Sindh and Punjab. Even then, the average income of East Pakistan was higher than that of the frontier provinces and Balochistan. Ayub Khan and Yahya Khan were people from the border provinces. Did they then exploit their own territory and allocate a relatively larger share of the land to East Bengal? What's more, the average income of East Pakistan was higher than the average income of India. During the partition of 1947, British Governor Sir Frederick Barrage had said that East Bengal would become the largest rural slum in the world. That East Bengal surpassed the average income of India in 20 years. In terms of industrialization, it surpasses the number of jute mills in West Bengal, where there was not a single jute mill in East Bengal in 1947. 70 jute mills were built there in 20 years. The Punjabis, who are portrayed as exploiters, had their own average incomes lower than those of Sindhis. So was it the Sindhis of Bangu logic who were exploiting the Punjabis? If you hear this, you'll laugh out loud. India and the United States have different per capita incomes in different states. There is a huge difference between West Bengal and Maharashtra in India. What example of exploitation would the Pangu Sushil call India? Michael Madhusudan Dutta was writing a necessity. Is this what we call civilization? If he had known the details of all these events while he was alive, he would have written about them. Is this what you call exploitation? The average income in India varies across different provinces. The same is said about the differences in growth rates between different provinces. Different growth rates among different states in America. Different growth rates among different states in India. But none of these statements call it exploitation. Why does everyone jump up and start lecturing about exploitation in the case of Pakistan? Another issue is the concept of cost of living. Hope everyone understands by now that the cost of living shown on the poster is a completely false estimate. Let me add two more things here. The cost of living in different cities and villages of a country is different. The cost of living in Dhaka is much higher than in a village in Magura. So is the village of Magura, Dhaka, being exploited by bungalows? In all countries of the world, the cost of living in different areas of the city and countryside is different. Expenses are higher in developed cities. For example, living in New York City is extremely expensive. In a small town there, the cost is much lower. So is everyone exploiting New York City? This is the true form of the narrative of economic exploitation of Pakistan created by the Awami League. It should have been shown, but that does and mean we should say that our War of Independence in 1971 was a mistake. But nation cannot be blinded forever by misinformation and misunderstanding. The March 25th massacre was a turning point. How and why that situation arose will be discussed another day. Hearing that dark history will make you shudder at the terrible plan that pushed an entire nation towards such a possibility. That history is for another day. The history of Bangladesh is not just a story of victory but also a long struggle between truth and falsehood. The 1971 Liberation War laid the foundation of our nation's identity. However, it is important to understand each aspect of it correctly. Pakistan's narrative of exploitation, discrimination, political intrigue, and the role of the outside world require a new analysis of these questions. A new narrative is needed. A new sense of history is needed. A nation that learns to question history can shape its future. National consciousness is distorted based on incorrect information, and from there, weak governance, corruption, and a farce of development narratives are born. If Bangladesh truly wants to capture the spirit of independence today, it must impartially review past events. The search for truth is essential not only for the needs of history but also for the future. Our responsibility as a nation is to know the true truth of history, so that we can break the foundation of lies and build a developed, self-reliant and strong Bangladesh. Let us learn to question history, because the right questions will lead us towards the right future. Long live the revolution!